What's going on, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Hollywood Already Did It, your movie podcast for reboots, remakes, sequels, and everything else that keeps getting done and redone over and over again. As always, I am your host, Blake Schultz, and with me is Terrence Tatum.
Hello, everyone.
And this week we're getting into the third of five, but now we're kind of backtracking off of that
Maybe?
number. We'll see. We do have it written and filmed of James Cameron's Avatar, number three, Fire and Ash, which came out so quickly. It's been like, what, 3 years since the second one? But it's
Correct.
still so close to it that I was like, oh, what? I thought we were doing a decade. I thought we were going to wait even
You skip
longer.
some time. Yeah.
I think we all kind of know the story of this development. I think the only interesting piece for this one in particular is that once upon a time, it was just the back half of Way of the Water. And I think that is something worth knowing because we will keep coming back to that point, at least for me, very consistently throughout the movie, because that was just something that I could not get out of my head because of all the times where it felt like this movie didn't feel like a part two. It felt like the back of a script. And
Yes.
that is my conundrum that I keep returning to, which is weird because both of them are 3 hours long.
Yeah. Yeah. It's funny. This movie taught me two things. One, everyone at some point in time should get them a crazy girl in their life because it'll change your life. Because crazy girls are a good time. You probably don't want to change everything, but you make you start painting yourself red and white. You forget everything that you were about because the
Oh, this
rain
movie was
sort of
so
happens.
pro toxic relationship, and I kind of
Oh,
loved it.
100%.
Like
Yeah, it was
I
like I was
love
like,
that
all right, I kind of rock with that.
I love that this entire movie was like, do you know what would really make a villain more empathetic if he was just like balls
Banging,
deep in a
banging.
psychotic person,
Like if he
and
got
he'll
the
get
craziest
so
novel he could find and just got just deep in there.
you want to solve racism, it's like that and fucking PTA's movie this year. We're both kind of like,
Like,
you know what
hey,
would solve this problem?
have you tried it? You knocked it until you tried it, and you got some. It's like mind blown.
You will turn your back on Earth or whatever.
You will just walk her right up into your home base and no, like you gonna deal with it.
I mean, we're jumping, I don't care, jump all over the place. He just rolled in to that, like, and what's crazy is that was the movie I kept being like, I want this movie. I don't even want to do Jake Sully anymore. I just want to do Colonel Quaritch and Varang and him just walking back into this base,
And just
being
be
like,
like,
I got
hey,
laid. Here's her and her tribe.
she's with me
I know we
now.
have a mission, but I don't care anymore. And the one person in charge of that mission being like, you forgot what it meant to be a human. And he's just like, I don't give a shit,
I may
you
have. This
stupid
is
idiot.
good.
That body's dead. I crushed its skull with my fist in the last movie.
Oh,
It's amazing that like all the conflict in that movie boils down to like, yeah, this dude really just needed to get laid.
I just need to get some. That's what I needed. After my last girl died in the military,
And
this is what I need.
and they're
This is what I
both just
needed.
so okay with each of them being like, hey, I don't really love you. I just want to manipulate you to
That's
my own
fine.
ends. And they're both like, yeah, sure, okay,
Cool. Yeah, use me.
great. You want to burn down all the all the Navi places, and
Go for
I
it.
want to get Jake Sully, and then I want to leave this planet. It might be the most accurate representation of like old war of just like, yeah, get some anchor babies,
Yeah,
go nuts.
yeah, exactly. And then the other thing that I kept sitting there was like, oh, this movie is once again telling me, hey, family is whatever you make of it. Like you can be an adopted, you can be a clone, whatever, however you are, we are a family. And I was like, cool, but you told me that story two times before. 3 hours on one of them, two and some change on the other. I don't know why I needed to sit through another 3 hour version of that this time. And here's the biggest issue that I had. I was like, to your point, when you said earlier, I thought there was going to be more of a space between them. There should have been, because at least between one and water, the tech had improved so much that as bad as the storytelling may have been, I was willing to let it all pass because I'm like, oh, this looks breathtaking. This is amazing. Whereas from two to three, I'm like, oh, not much has changed. Now I'm really looking at how bad this story and some of this acting is, and it stands out.
So this might be where you and I actually disagree already, and I thought we were just gonna keep riffing about banging that redheaded Navi
We can go
girl.
back to that.
Oh, we
Because
will.
she is my favorite part of the movie. Like she's great.
She is the movie. She
Correct.
is the movie.
Yes.
This is should have been the whole thing. I don't know that I think any of the storytelling in Way of the Water, really any of them, is bad. I maybe a little generic, maybe a little
Basic.
on the nose, but
Yes.
I don't think there was ever really a moment, with one exception, and it's not even that it's bad, it's a choice that I don't care for, that I've been like, oh, this is bad. And the one I don't care for is the giant face of God or
Oh, seeing
whatever.
the God like
This
eyeball out
this
the side of the face.
Prometheus moment,
Yeah.
which annoyed me for a lot of reasons. One, I think it's always weird when you're telling a religious story, even if it's a fake religion, to be
To
like,
actually
and
show
there's
the deity.
God.
Show the deity. Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
weirder to me that the Navi God is human.
Yes. Considering how much Zoe's character hates men or like not
Hates
Neytiri
the
is like,
pink
nah.
people.
Yeah, like this, I don't
This
want any
movie
parts
also
of you.
made me wonder, why is this the first time I've seen people call white people like pinkies? I'm like, that's a great slur for us. Why aren't we?
There are a lot more racial terms that are in this movie that I was like,
We
is
got
he
to
sleeping on
crank
these for
that
like,
up.
yeah, like was he sleeping on these for? Because he's like, I'm putting them in here now. This
Because you
could be
said, I
it.
was like,
This
oh
could be
damn,
it.
that is
I
good.
was like, Pinky
It's
sounds like I shouldn't be saying this.
I skateboard long enough, and I'm like a little pink lab rat. I was like, this is a solid fucking racial thing to use. This is a good. How have I not heard this until James Cameron's Avatar 3? This is a
Yeah,
solid like.
well
This,
done.
there you go,
I
man.
think for me, why I say the story, I think it's more of the acting pieces of it because to your point, I do think this is a very A and B story. So like it's clear to me what this is and it tells it from the jump. And I don't think any of the movies do that poorly. I do think that this one I was able to sort of get annoyed by some of the stilted dialogue because it's very basic by the numbers dialogue that happens in this, and some of it is very basic performances. Chaplin as Varang, she kills it. It's mainly the kids where I have some problems with some of their delivery and some of their emotional takes, and I'm like,
Yeah,
this isn't working for me. One of the ones that I think was supposed to be a big linchpin of this movie is when Jake takes Spider off by himself to sort of end him. Spider's emotional weight in that sequence is so awful that it messes up that entire scene for me.
that
Because both
whole
Zoe and Jake are they're carrying that scene, they're trying, but because the kid's not giving it to me, I'm like, I'm lost, I'm losing this.
so I made this complaint about Way of the Water, and we got to give Spider clothes. I just can't do I can't do this. Not interested in that. That scene in particular, I think, actually amplifies my biggest problem with this movie. And it's ironically a problem that I've had with like Taika Waititi. Why aren't the big emotional moments longer? Why was this scene, our
Thank
conclude,
you.
we arrived, like that scene happens in like the third, maybe middle of the movie.
It's the right kind of
Spider
right before the main final act, like the main final battle.
Yeah, so like spiders saved the whole crux of the movie, for those uninitiated and don't care about spoilers, the whole crux of this movie, we're done with unobtainium, we're done with whatever the whale's brains had in them. We are now very much focused on three core things. Uh, we don't have enough time to grieve the son who died in Way of the Water. Uh, we've decided Spider shouldn't be here, which isn't wrong because he does almost die in his sleep because he can't
Hmm.
breathe.
Yeah.
I guess really four, and then we're dealing with Colonel Quaritch and Varang and him and his whole arc of am I a Navi now? Am I human? Where am I? Where do I
Where do I
belong?
stand on this? Yeah.
All of these are very interesting ideas because the Sully family is sort of dealing with uh, Zoe Saldana's character kind of hating everyone because they're
She
part
sort of hates
human
her whole family because they're partly human. Yeah.
and they're
Yeah.
also not with their original tribe. They're still with this water tribe, and that's fun. Um, and now Jake's kind of trying. He's not wrong to be like that dude ran out of a battery while he was sleeping and almost died. We need to go bring him back somewhere else.
Yeah. To where he
Um,
can at least live safely. Yeah.
And then through, trick the kids, Kira's power, she's able to like talk to the earth and give Spider the ability to breathe, but it's like a symbiotic relationship. If they take out the stuff
Hmm.
that makes him breathe, he'll die. And now, of course, the humans are like, oh my God, if we can breathe on the planet, we can kill everybody and
Let's
we can live here and
manufacture
we
that.
can we
Yeah.
can do this. We can get off of
Right.
Earth. Also an idea that I really like.
Hmm.
But then on a dime, in this scene that we're talking about, Jake goes from like, this kid saved me. He can breathe. It's probably worth figuring out if he can breathe. Oh, I'm worried that if they reverse engineer this, we'll have bigger problems. I should go murder
I'm
him
gonna
in the
go murder
woods.
him. Even though for three-fourths of this film, you have operated as if he is your son. You have been like, hey, this is my boy.
Yeah,
No, honey, I'm not getting rid of him. Like, we're gonna put him somewhere safe, but I don't think we should kill him. She's been like, murder, 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 murder him. Then in this moment, they are on opposite sides, and
they
it's not
flip.
really clear because, to your point, it's so fast, it doesn't feel earned.
And her build up to that switch, I think, is better.
Yes, because
Um,
she at least visually saw this guy, no matter
this
what,
guy,
keeps
he
protecting you. He's putting
sacrificed,
his yeah, he's putting
yeah.
himself in danger for you.
And she
Maybe
had
we should throw a gun.
dialogue in earlier scenes with other characters who were sort of like, oh, you don't have to just, you can be who you are and like not
Without
hate these
murdering
people.
people. Because
Like
you're going to become like
maybe,
Varane if you operate in that manner. Yeah,
right. So she's now kind of seen the end of that road,
yeah.
which I don't mind either. It was weird though, even for like Spider in that moment to be like, hey, dad, what are we doing? Oh, you're going to kill me, aren't you? You know what? I'm chill with
Cool.
that.
It's okay. And like one, super fast, but two, how it reads, both his questioning face of like, what are we doing, Dad? What are we doing? To, oh my God, you're gonna kill me, are the exact same. Like there's no
Yeah,
difference in the read.
there is nothing. Yeah, there's not really anything to discern that perform, and
Like
it's
fear,
just so,
concern,
for
like
how
nothing.
long, like we spend like hours with these whales and these beautiful
Well,
scenes, and I'm like, why? Let's cut
that's
that in
that's
half
my point.
and
Like
have
as I
these
was driving,
moments.
as I was driving home, I was like, there's stuff that could have been fleshed out more, giving more time with the Colonel and his conquest wife that he has. Give me more time with that. Instead, you gave me 30 minutes of watching these kids go off to talk to these whales when you could just say they're going to go talk to the whales. And then later we can see them back with the whales. I'm like, oh, they have the conversation. I don't need to see them actually have that conversation.
Because the Colonel stuff is also awesome. Like I sort of like, oh, I'm going to need Jake for this moment to save my son. Oh,
Yeah,
I've saved my son. And even your son is like, you're not my dad. You're the memories of my dad inside of a blue guy. So,
yeah,
like, get the fuck out of my face.
yeah.
And then I kind of like slowly, I thought where we were going to go with all of that was that eventually Jake Sully was going to be like, hey, do you really think you're going to like be able to get me, arrest me, and go back to Earth as a Navi and have them accept you? Like, do you understand that you're
You
not one
are,
of them now? Like,
and
you're
it
not
felt it felt like he was trying to get that across to him as subtly as he could, not realizing that this guy's sort of a bit of a jarhead. You might need to be as blatant as you possibly can, but he's kind
I
of giving him these like, hey, here's the options. You have the options of either doing this or being with us. It's in your ball, it's in your court. What do you want to do? Instead of just being like,
because
hey, they see you as a freak now.
I liked that him and Jake sort of kept coming back to this like marine to marine.
Here
Sorry,
we
like
are.
we
Here we
can
are.
come
Yeah.
together. And I like that Jake's sort of approach was just open your eyes and look around. I
Yeah.
was really hoping that the like female military villain we added was eventually going to be like, I'm not taking orders from a fucking Navi.
Well, it
Like
was so weird. Like,
you're the enemy now. I was
yeah,
waiting for them to like kick him
Eve
out and
Falco's
him
character, she plays it so she's answering to him when I don't think she has to. And it's weird because she just accepts him back onto the base and like all the people are allowed on. I'm like, well, I feel like now would be the time for you to be like, cool, thank you for bringing Jake back to me. Now I'm putting you in there with him. Like you should be in there
that's
with
what
him.
needed to happen. I think
Yeah,
you needed a beat of like he's not human anymore, and the humans will not accept him.
right.
Like he is now the enemy, which feels like a very like militaristic. Hey, we built these avatars, but it is you are now property of the U.S. military.
Right. And it was
You're
hard for
not
my
you
brain,
anymore.
and it was hard for my brain in the final act to all those people on that ship to just readily accept, like, well, it's fine. They're all here. Like anytime they see the RF ship of their people comes like, nope, don't worry about it. That's not one of the bad Navi. That's one of ours. They should come in. I'm like, hold on.
It was
You
very
guys have hunted them
strange.
for ages. How are you okay with any of them?
It was very odd,
Yeah.
especially because I feel like that was also the first time we really saw them be like Jake Sully is this like villain we have to bring. Like everyone's cheering and
Cheering,
filming,
yeah. Like
and
I
it
knew
wasn't a
that they've
moment that
always
I
been trying to
hated, but
get
it didn't
him
feel earned.
earned. Yeah, like I know that they've always said this, but we've never seen the base or the world sort of response of like bring Jake back. And that was the first time I was like, well, how do we get here? Like I feel
Yeah,
like I missed a
he's
step. There's something missing to say this has become public enemy number one. We need to bring him back. And once we bring him back, we're all
because we
happy
haven't really
about it.
seen outside of I guess he's why they don't have unobtainium and he's why they don't have the like $1 billion whale stuff.
Yeah,
So
okay.
I suppose, but I think that's the weird disconnect when we never see Earth or the other side of this
Hmm.
coin of like um because even in Star Wars, you have moments of like, well, Luke blew up the Death Star.
Right. So I
And
can
if
see
you're
how
on the
there's people
Empire
on the other
side,
side that's
that's
going to,
bad.
that's a bad thing. Right.
um like we do that well in other franchises,
Hmm.
but Black Panther, the Avengers,
Like the Avengers,
X-Men,
like, oh, you destroyed half my town. This is why I'm upset with
right.
you. Yeah.
It makes sense that humans are afraid of Magneto. Like
Hmm.
even though he's correct, it's still like, well,
Right.
you did slaughter a city.
You're,
Like,
you're right.
um, so I think if we had even like, it's one of those weird problems that can be solved in a line of like,
Hmm.
because of what Jake Sully did,
Yeah. Or even just
half
a
of Earth's
reminder,
population will
because they
die.
they
Like,
showed like almost like a wanted newspaper ad, literally just put in there because of his crimes against,
yeah,
this and this. Like, all right, bet. I can see why everybody's pissed now.
right.
That
Yeah,
helps.
and that's what I mean. Where I'm like, I don't know that I think any of the storytelling is bad, but it does feel incomplete.
Hmm.
And
Which
I
is,
think that's what the bummer of this movie is that I'm like,
yeah.
there's so many cool promises
Hmm.
that I'm just like, man, I wanted, and maybe I'm dumb. That's always possible. Uh, I thought the Fire and Ash Avatar were going to be way more, like kind of. I thought they were going to literally be Red Navi. That's definitely one
Like
thing I thought
living
for a
like
while.
volcano areas
I
type.
thought we were going to have more
I did too.
volcano
I did too.
lava fights.
Like they're referred to as fire and ash, and that is what they're even called, the ash people, more so than they are fire. They're called the ash people. So the fire part doesn't really come in until Colonel gives them the weapons of fire. Like they she plays around it and when she does doing her rituals, but until they get the flamethrower, that's when the real fire part. My brain was always thought of because all the other Navi that we have seen previously were of the world of the element that was sort of brought in. So water, they were of the water people, like the original ones were of the tree and like, of earth. This one, outside of them playing with fire, don't really live within the fire. And I was like, oh, that's a bit of a disconnect. I
And it's
wish I had known more, and I get it because they're the villain, but we've each film we have spent time learning about the tribe, and this is the one time outside of our lead villain who's just so charismatic. She's great. I
she's
don't
so
know
good.
much about these people, which is a downer.
And it's such a creepy place because like
Hmm.
it's we do so much with Awe, Awa,
Hmm.
and unlike other religious real world, we had there's like literal evidence that this world is connected, has Awa. So I kind of dug that there was just this tribe that was like, I don't
Here
care.
I am real. F her.
Yeah. Like, and I love that scene where she was like, Awa didn't show up. So like I'm
Right.
gonna burn it all down. And I was like,
And
okay,
like I
yeah, like
and I
I
like
want to
her,
see.
I like her testing their faith, being like, hey, you do that, but I'm gonna take your sister right now. Is Awa gonna come if I cut her neck? Like she gonna save this
She's gonna
girl?
show up
No?
right
All right, then
now. And I get that we killed the brother, but a part of me was like, kill someone else. We can kill. I really, for a
Hmm.
while, was like, it's going to be Jake. Jake's going to die. We're going to be
I
done with
thought
this.
when they were side by side, I thought that they were going to like, are this story's going to go into Jake's son, and Jake's going to actually sacrifice himself or die in this.
Well, Loke's doing the voiceover now, and like, there were just so
Yeah,
like Jake's arc felt so complete.
yeah.
Because so much of his stuff too was like kind of being a dick, and then
He's an
eventually
a-hole.
being like, "Son, I need my wingman." Like
And he
finally being
never
like,
really,
"Okay."
as good of as a father he was in the second one, in this one he was so bad, and he never really had a moment to be like, "Hey, son, I was wrong. This
And
isn't your fault." Like
this
you
is where
actively
the
have told your
movie
son it's your fault that my son, that your brother's dead.
and that's where the movie feels weird unless it's the third act of two.
Yeah,
Because if there was one movie where his son died midpoint of the movie, and then we spent like the next half of the last third with him being like, "Oh, it's your fault," and I'm mad, and then finally in the last battle being like, "I was wrong.
this is my
I
fault.
need you to
My
help me
bad.
out now."
Right.
That would have kind of worked
It
better.
would have given me
But
an
for
arc for him.
3 hours,
He's
for
just
him to
like,
just be like,
you are awful.
no. The one thing I will say, though, in terms of the kids, that I was genuinely like, Jake is right, you guys suck, is when Sigourney Weaver and Spider were like, we're going to go underwater and we're going to try to connect. And then Luke's like, I'm going to do it too. And then looks at the youngest girl and is like, and you stay here. And I was like, there's a war going on
I
around
was
you,
like,
Luke.
take, she
Why,
can swim.
why
Take
are
her
you
with you.
leaving the
Take,
youngest?
I think I
That
might
was
have
the one moment
audibly
where I was like,
gasped.
your dad is
I
right.
think I might have
This
audibly
entire
gasped.
family is on your.
I audibly gasped. I was like, if anything happens to this little girl, Jake's correct. You are a terrible brother. You should die.
I was so like, what? No.
It's like she can't fend for herself at all. Take that girl with you until what are you
She had
doing?
such a fun, adorable moment in the last movie with her handcuffs. What are we doing?
She's been telling you the slogan the whole time. Sully, stick together. You just said F that slogan. Stay your ass up
I
here.
do like that she was the one to be like, hey, guys, teamwork, right?
Like, what are we
Oh,
doing?
let me try to connect by myself to this thing that keeps almost killing me. Hear me out. Maybe we all
Maybe
do.
we do it together.
Which was another kind of thing that I was like, man, go a little bit further because you've got this great dichotomy of the Colonel being a Navi and now Spider, his son, like growing Navi parts.
Hmm.
And I was like, oh, obviously where we're going is like Spider's human body is going to fail, and Quaritch's sacrifice will be take out my memories and use
And
my
use this
avatar
body.
for my son.
Hmm.
And we're going to have this like, see, there's no difference. And I
Yeah, because
kept
they're basically
waiting for this
becoming
moment.
two sides of the same coin. Like they're getting to that point in different ways. Yeah.
And instead he just jumps off a cliff like he's tired of being in an arcade. Like he's
Yeah.
played enough of the video game and needs to
I
go home, so he
I
kills
got
his
to
last
bang the
life.
hot crazy girl. I'm getting out. I'm checking out. I'm done. That felt like a person like I no longer know what to do with Stephen Lang's
I
character.
had
Like
to
I don't know what to
read
do with it.
I had to read a review because I one thought I zoned out and missed Orang's death, but she just flies away.
She just yeah, she
Um,
falls and then kind of just goes off. Yeah.
and then I was like, I don't understand why the Colonel just jumped. And someone in this review I read, they were like, "Oh, he doesn't want to die the same way twice." To Zoe Saldana shooting him with an arrow, and I was like, "Well, that's stupid."
Well, that doesn't make any it okay, sure, but it sounds like it felt
Had
like in
Jake
that
been like,
moment
"Kill
Jake
him
right,
now," but instead
Jake
he's like,
literally
"No."
told everybody stand down. We're having a convo. We're talking right now. And in that he just said, "Nah."
No, it
I'm done.
really it's such a shame. And like, maybe it isn't because maybe the point of these movies is to be awesome. Because in no world will I ever be like Avatar is bad because if every movie looked even a little bit like
Like this.
this, like
Yeah.
how many times have we sat here and been like, man, that Avengers movie was great, but then they
That
clearly
CG.
gave the rest of the VFX
Yeah.
these three shots
Hmm.
and it ruined
And
everything.
it ruined everything. Yeah. There's
There's
never a
nothing
moment in this
happen in
movie where
this
my
movie.
brain checks out or like, oh, that looks too fake. And I'm
No.
like, I'm staring at blue people and it looks real. I'm like, this is nuts.
It if everything was that good of 3D, it's all we would do.
Yeah,
Because oh my God.
it's
And
an
what
experience.
sucks though is that because of how good that is, we spend all of this time on like nature, which is the point and theme of the
It's a
movie.
yes.
But then we have these great visceral moments, these
Yeah.
great these things that James Cameron has done so well in all of his other movies and is for some reason just like I'll speed run through it here.
Yeah.
it's
Yeah. I
it's
think
such a
and
it's a
it's so
bummer.
backloaded, the action. The action in this movie doesn't happen until the third act. So you have the release or escape of Sully from there, which is one sequence, and there's a pause of the crappy stuff, the spider we spoke of, and then the big battle at the end. And you're like, oh, you Titanic this, where you put all of
Yeah.
your drama and stuff at the very
Again,
beginning, and
which
then
feels like a movie that was the end of another movie. Like my biggest
yeah.
problem with this script is exactly what James Cameron said about it, which is this was originally the back half of Way of the Water. And I
Mhm.
decided, and here's what's weird. I don't think he's wrong. I think this needed to be two movies. I just think we could have sacrificed the
There's a lot
fun
of
and the
stuff in
action
both.
for the
Yeah.
character.
There's a lot of stuff in
Uh,
both films that it could have been tightened up to punch up the action sequence and give us more character beats.
yeah, because I disagree. Like I'm seeing a lot of the discourse online of like it feels like it's the same movie as Way of the Water. And I think that we only are saying I think there's a lot of things where we're actually very unfair to the Avatar franchise for. And this is one of them. I think it's unfair to say that it feels like the movie that came before it just because the big action set pieces on water. By that logic, every Star Wars movie and Star Trek movie is the same.
Everything's in
So
space. Yeah.
we've blown up the Death Star more times
14
than
times.
there
So
are
many times.
Avatar movies.
And they built
Like
another one just to blow it up again.
like by that logic,
Yeah.
every all of these are the same, which is what I've been saying ever since the Fern Gully Pocahontas stuff, where I'm like,
Right.
the first movie is it sure kind of really what that movie is, and really what all three of these movies is. The first movie is actually Inverted Independence Day. That is a movie where
Oh, they
the
called it. Yeah.
humans go to an alien world because they're out of resources, and then they blow up the Navi's White House, which is the big tree. It's an inverted Independence Day.
Hmm.
The rest of this movie is Dune. These are just
Yes.
it's
Looking for,
Dune.
yes, looking for, they're basically sanctions or factions fighting for spice. In this
Right.
case,
Yeah.
whale brains.
And
Or,
some religious stuff is tossed in, and some
yeah.
ecological stuff is tossed in, and some concepts of humanity and
Hmm.
colonialism and militarism is
And a
thrown
lot of
in.
like earth to nature stuff because that's
Yeah.
pretty big to this world. Yeah.
Stuff that I really like and I
Hmm.
think is really when we talk about why are we doing this again when we talk about the relevance there's so much stuff in all three of these Avatar movies that are relevant to whenever they came. And I think this movie has a lot of them. I think we are at a weird point where we are struggling with who people are despite how they look and where they used to be.
Yes.
I think there's a lot of that going on.
Hmm.
And I think this movie does a good job, not a great job of being like, yeah, but really it's the soul and the connectivity of it.
Yes.
And I
No
think
matter
if we
what you
had
look like,
really,
how you were raised.
yeah,
Because even I think it's a throwaway line, but there's a great line that the Colonel gives to Jake, like, "You guys did a good job with that kid. I hate
hey man,
you.
I got to tell you, you and your
You guys
wife did
did.
a good
You guys
job.
you
What a
guys did a good job."
fucking good moment.
Yeah.
What a good
Yeah.
moment. And
Yeah.
it's so frustrating that these like and that's how I kept feeling in real time watching the movie is I was like, God, I am going from being like, I'm never bored, but I'm going from
No.
being like, man, this is like a 9 out of 10 sci-fi movie to being like, man, this is like a 6 out of 10 sci-fi movie way too often.
Like by it go yeah, it's swinging back and forth left all
The
day.
barometer.
Yeah.
And I think that's why when I left, when I got home and my parents were like, what'd you think? And I was like, I don't know.
Same.
Because I
Which is
also didn't really like the magnetic field we were stuck in.
I
That got a
didn't
little
like
too busy for
that
me.
was yeah. That
And I
felt
don't
like,
think
hey, we
I,
need a set piece here
Yeah.
to take off a lot of these. And it's weird because I felt very different when I left Way of Water. Like I think because Way of Water, even though it
I
is the
left,
first part of that story, felt like a more contained because you're starting with the first act of
you
what
need
the
a
actual
10 year,
setting
is a
is.
10-year gap. We had
Yeah,
to remind you what happened.
right. It felt like a more contained story, whereas this one does not, and it's kind of like, oh, I can feel sort of the war. I'm more visibly seeing the warts, despite having a good time. Like to your point, never bored. But when it gets bad, it's like, oh, this why are we here? And then it goes to 10 all of a sudden. You're like, well, crap.
It is weird to separate them because it is the moments that hit harder than like other popcorn movies. But it's hard not to put this in the camp of like Marvel and Fast and the Furious and these other like these action movies that I don't think James Cameron wants this movie to be in
Compared to.
alignment with.
Correct.
Um, I think he wants this to be more in alignment with Dune.
He does.
And I think it's somewhere in between those two.
I do
Because
too.
like earlier, I was going to make the joke when you were like, "It's our third movie about family," and I was like, "Yeah, but once a year we sit here and we talk about family and all that
Family.
matters for the fast car movies. So what are we
Yeah.
talking about?" And but that's also what I mean. Where I'm like, I think we're very unfair to this franchise because everyone's like, "Well, we're just talking about family," and I'm like, "Yeah, great. Welcome to every movie
Movie.
ever."
Everything. I
I'm just
think
like, oh,
I think where Avatar has a problem with, and this is where I think it doesn't sort of quote unquote stand the test of time or live in the cultural zeitgeist like I think Star Wars or some of those other films, Marvel films do, is that because there's such a long gap between one and two, that's a part of it. But I think because these films are so long, they don't get rewatched in the same way that I think a lot of the Star Wars movies during the Marvel films do. So like it's usually I watched this once and then I'm not watching this again. So I would have forgotten some of the things that I naturally sort of embed in my brain after multiple rewatches. And it's sort of like until the next one comes along, I'm not a part of this world again. And I even had that. Like I after watching the first Avatar, when we were talking about Way of Water going, I was like, I don't remember any of these people's names or anything that's happening here other than Jake Sully because she repeats it 75 times in that first film.
I
That's not fair to the franchise though, because James is expecting
well,
you. This for him, this is his world. Like this, he's building
right,
out and fleshing out an entire world. And I know there's probably a map where he has everything going. He's like, this, and,
sure,
and imagine when he talks about this, he gets super excited. But unfortunately for him, sometimes with these 3 hour films, he's filming stuff. He's probably making 9 hour cuts of these that he cuts down to 3 hours, and it's just losing a lot of the stuff that he's super excited about, knows an audience won't be excited about, and then loses a lot of the things that you and I give a shit about because he's not feeding the
right.
audience
He
certain pieces.
James Cameron he's this is going to sound very weird. He's such a good director that I think he accidentally gets in his own way
I'd
because
like to guess.
he is so good at these high concept artistic ideas, but he's also so good at action and just
Hmm.
dope stuff. And I think in the past he's had to choose.
Yeah.
And I think in these movies he doesn't.
No, he just got free reign, do
But
whatever you want to do.
you've touched on something else that we can talk about, and then maybe we'll do the box office. Because I keep seeing people talk about avatars, the cultural relevance, and it's blah 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 blah. It doesn't have
Yeah.
any relevance. It just, and I think it's stupid to say that something doesn't have relevance when it makes this much
When
money.
it comes out the gate,
Uh,
blasting money every which way. Yeah. It's
like
five point
I
four
think
billion dollar franchise, guys. It's
I think
relevant.
that's insane.
Right.
But I think it raises another question of like, what is cultural relevance? Um, because I think a lot of people, when they talk about it, they want it to be Star Wars and the MCU and the DCU. And I think those are the only three things. Because those are
Mhm.
the things where there's a lot of content about it, there's a lot of theories about it, there's a lot of this about it, a lot of that about it. Or maybe a video game that comes out, the Pokemon of it, these phenomenons.
Yeah.
Um, to which I'm kind of like, so what do we need to have 10,000 Avatar action figures? Do we need to have
Right. Like, does it need to be
because there are video
lunchboxes?
games.
Right. I'm
There
saying lunchboxes
are
need to exist and keychains
like
and all
what
this
is
stuff. Because, like,
because the main point people go to is they're like, name this character in Avatar. To
right.
which I will respond, I don't know The Rock's name in the Fast and the Furious movies.
I do. It's Hobbs.
They,
But I'm gonna use
yeah,
the
you know,
big.
I say that where we said I was like, I didn't.
I'm
Hobbs
going
was
to use a
wrong.
different film because I think this is the same case. Unless you are a reader of the book, Dune fits into that. Like I do,
Oh, I can't name you half these
outside of a
people.
treatise, I don't know any of the names that are any of the people that are in this movie. And I think Dune and Avatar have a lot more in common, where they don't have a lot of the watchable bio. But I
Yeah,
think Dune gets placed on this high art
it's
form
artsy.
because because
Yeah.
it's sci-fi and it is. I love that film, so I'm not shitting on it, but I'm using that as an example versus where Avatar sort of gets put into this like I'm being popcorny. And because to your point, it's not Marvel popcorn where like I'm doing this for families, I'm putting this on lunch boxes. It's in this weird in between world where people are just like, it's not artsy like Dune, and it's not fun and family friendly.
And
And
I think if you're online a lot and you're a nerd, um, shout out nerds, it's very easy to be like, Star Wars is more culturally relevant because I can name all of the ships. And I'm like, cool. But I'm
cool
pretty sure that if I just went into a bar and was like, hey,
to non-nerds.
what's the name of the Star Destroyer that Darth Vader's on in Return of the Jedi?
Yeah, they're like, wait, what?
It's the Executioner, by the way. Um,
Yeah,
like I think there are some
there are
pieces
going
of
to be
trivia.
pockets of everybody
Yeah.
not being able to like
Like
calculate
everyone knows
everything.
Clark Kent is Superman, but I
Right.
don't think everyone knows who Supergirl's real identity is.
Correct. Um, and I think you're going to have blind spots with whatever sort of piece of pop content it is
Yeah,
that
so
you're dealing with.
I just think it's the same thing that even I kind of do sometimes, where I'm like, oh man, that movie won an Oscar, but is it relevant anymore? And the answer is, who cares? It was
Who
relevant
cares?
enough to win an
At that
Oscar that
time,
year.
it was. Yeah.
Like it's very funny to put myself in my own corner where I'll sit here and be like, the social network has talked about more and it should have won Best Picture instead of the King's Speech. But you know what won the goddamn Oscar? The King's Speech. And do you know what that makes that? It makes it
Yeah.
relevant. Do you know why it makes it relevant? Because now whenever I talk about the social network, I talk about a movie
That
that I've
comes
seen
up.
once.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's like when people talk about sport franchises and they're like, the Bulls aren't relevant anymore. And you're like, yeah, but they were for like 20 years. So
For
what do you
about a
want?
decade and a half. So yeah.
Sorry, I know they haven't won. Nobody thinks the Dallas Cowboys are
Yeah.
actually America's football team, but do you know who's called America's football team? The Dallas
I think yeah,
Cowboys.
it's weird. It's weird that James, I think, also is sort of, and I think this is where a lot of people are a little upset about it. I think James has sort of put himself in this corner. Most people look at James Cameron as one of our best directors that's ever, especially for action, and one of our best that's ever
Oh,
existed.
yeah.
He, unfortunately, for a lot of people, have put himself into this his big baby, his world. And there are people who are like, I just don't want you to do those anymore. And so they
I'm
might
one
have
of those
just
people.
crap on that. They might crap on, and I am one of them because I'm kind of like, True Lies is great. Titanic,
You made
when you were
three.
doing things out of the box, like you were great. You made three of these, even if, and he won't because this is his baby. Even if you want somebody else to play in this world, let them play with it. But I think you're done here.
Well,
I think you've done what you needed to do.
he said five. I think he said five would be somebody else. That he was like, we have an idea for five that I'm not going to direct. And
Right.
I
Well,
know recently in
that's a
an
piece of it too,
interview,
because he's up there in age, and that's my sort of concern is like, hey, can we get
that was
something else out of James before this
I
is done?
will I will say I'm loving the press run he's on for this movie.
Okay.
I'm loving it. I don't know if you've seen some of these interviews, but like there was one where someone was like, "So what do you think the next 20 years of film will look like?" And he's like, "Oh, I don't. I'll be in my 90s. What do
I
I?
yeah, like I
Why
don't
why
care.
should I even try to guess that?" I
Like the
was
only
like,
person still directing at that age is Eastwood. He's out there and he's
"Great answer." That's up there with Tony Hawk recently. Somebody was like, "Hey, do you want to skateboard in the next Olympics?" And he's like, "Well, I'll be 68, so probably not."
So no.
Uh, Also, don't need to. I'm Tony
Yeah,
Hawk.
yeah,
And I was like, good answer.
it is.
Uh, and then somebody was like, well, what now? And he's like, well, look, I'm 71. I've got other stories I want to tell. This took a long time. I'm not going to sit here and do this forever. And I was like, a little bit different of what you said a few years ago,
Right.
but you are not 71, sir.
I have a feeling that James probably got into this. I mean, because the first one was '09, and then he was like, I'm going to do a
Oh,
bunch of
nine.
these. He didn't think that these were going to take as probably as long as they
Oh,
did. Some of it was tech needed to catch up to what his vision was. So he's like, oh, I didn't expect it to take this long. So now he's sitting here like, oh, oh
I'm
crap.
tired.
I am I started this when I was 50. This is a lot.
Writing this Terminator script, right? I
Yeah.
still got this Akira script. We still have to make another Alita movie.
Yeah.
Uh, yeah, and I also saw his like generative AI answer where he was like, yeah, it always makes something new. I don't want to make something new every time. I want to get in there and mess around with what exists. I don't want to do
Hmm.
this. And
Hmm.
I was like, I'm kind of digging that every question people throw at him, he's just like, what do you want? I'm old. People go see these
Yeah.
movies. Like I said it in the last one where I was like, I kind of like that he responds. Him and Timothy Chalamet have a very similar, like they talk about art the way like athletes do, where they're like, I'm the greatest.
Yeah.
And I'm like, but I think they're the only two that I'm okay with. Like when James Cameron sits down and they're like, are you worried about the box office? And he's like, no, they already made $2
No.
billion in the other two. I don't give a shit.
This is a 5.4
Like,
billion. I'm fine. We're
great.
good. I've done okay.
And people love to rag on him for like, I kind of dig there's a 71-year
No.
old dude who just sits down and they're like, what do you think? And he's like, I think people go. Why do you think that? Because they've gone every other time.
Like people thought after the first one that there's such a long time that nobody's going to go see it, and then it made 2.5 billion dollars. So I'm good. We'll be all right.
Now, I will say that's a, unless you have more to say on the movie, that is a fine transition into the box office.
Yeah,
Um, so at 88 million over 3 days, which is, nothing to be mad about.
most films are
It
longer.
is well under the projections.
Yeah,
Now I think worldwide it's already at like what 350 or something.
345 worldwide already.
Yeah, so
Yeah,
I somebody recently was like, "Do you think it flopped?" And I was like, I don't think we know that yet."
yeah. So that's a hard thing you'd have to
It's a
see the
hard
totality of the numbers when it's done because both of those other two made 2.4, 2.5
these
billion.
and both one and two were in theaters for 7 weeks.
That is going to be the question of what happens to this and where the is it going to get the legs that typically happens with these avatars.
Or
Now,
has the world changed?
correct, has everything changed around it. Now the cinema score is still high for this. I think it's still got an A compared to what the others got. So the word of mouth is going to be good for this. But I just don't know if there's enough time in the theater for this to sort of
And
can have those legs.
Disney's trying. We got to get these Lifetime original Doomsday trailers out.
They
Um,
are like they're doing like come see this weekly. I think the
I
fourth
hate
week they're
it.
going to put an actual trailer, which you and
Oh,
I've talked.
good.
I hate this
I
entire
hate
run
it.
of everything they're doing with it. It's actually turning me off, but sure. But I
So
think
like
it's
I
a
said, they
terrible.
feel like Lifetime movies. Like,
Yeah.
I
Um,
just
because
don't
you're
care.
yeah, like you just showing me a 30-second snippet of something, and I'm just like, that. What are you doing?
Here's Steve Rogers with his baby. It's
Yeah.
coming back.
Just give me the trailer.
This,
I would be fine if they just put the trailer only like we're not putting this out online because do think if you want to get audiences, but just put out the full trailer. Like don't do this game, just put out the full
I don't
trailer.
understand why we didn't make four trailers, by all means.
Even if you want to
Why
show the Steve
wasn't it
Rogers
the
thing,
four
start it
different
with that.
teams? Why
Yeah.
wasn't this a Fantastic Four trailer,
Yeah.
an X-Men trailer, a Thunderbolts trailer, and an
And
Avengers
the
trailer?
new Avengers
And at
trailer.
the end
Yeah.
of the Avengers trailer, you could have been like, and here's Steve Rogers, and we would
Right.
have been like, oh my God. But
Yeah.
no, instead you had to drag him out like an Oscar movie with the golden lights and this slowed
Yeah.
down version of the theme and him cradling this child. And then he like
Yeah.
nostalgically rubs his costume like he's like Jones.
Just like waiting to get
Oh.
back in there. Yeah.
So
It's
where was Sharon?
probably
What is this? He rides his motorcycle to an empty house and then picks up a baby that was either with him on the motorcycle, which is dangerous, or alone in this house.
yeah, like where is
Preposterous.
Peggy? Like, is Peggy just gone? Like, she's like, I'm out. I'm gonna go work. You stay home with the baby.
And on every level, I'm annoyed.
I think it's one of the worst things that they've done. Now, they already have sort of an uphill battle to climb. So I don't understand how they thought this was going to be the thing that brings
Yeah.
people back. And like, I'm assuming because of the way they have this stretched out, that this at least has to be in the theaters for a month. Like, it's going to be in until probably 28
Oh,
years later before like
yeah.
someone else takes them out of the PLE formats. Because that's the next big film. So that they got some time, but it's just like, oh, that's a terrible way to sort of trick an audience to come to the theater.
Yeah, and I just don't think it'll work.
No,
Um, I just don't think it'll work. Because that's if you're
no.
not on AMC A list, that's $100 roughly to see
Right. You're either A,
four
expecting someone to
trailers.
go multiple times, which I'm no, or you're expecting someone to be like, hey, I'm going to wait till week 3 till they get the Thor version in there. I'm like, well, huh?
Yeah,
It's a weird trick that's I
it's
just don't
very.
see.
It's also weird to do. to James Cameron.
That's what like.
Like it's
Did
weird to
James sign
do
off
it
on
to
this? Because that,
him.
to your point, I'm just like that. If I was James, I'd be like, I don't want you to use mine as a gimmick. Like you're basically gimmicking my movie for
No,
something
I
that I have nothing
doubt
to
that
do
he saw.
with.
I doubt that he has anything to do with
Yeah,
that.
like that I have nothing to do with.
I imagine I haven't seen him say anything about it in his interviews, but it wouldn't surprise me if he like pulls a Nolan in his next movie. He's like, "Yeah, I'm picking the trailers you're putting on it.
Yeah, like I'm specifically choosing what gets attached.
I've made this studio $3 billion.
And I
If
feel
I
like
want
he
there to be
right,
four
but
trailers,
I feel like he has carte blanche to do that. Like, all right, yeah, that's fair.
it is pretty crazy to think that if this movie also makes as much money as it potentially could, all three of the Avatar movies would be in like the top 10 highest grossing films
Hmm.
of all time. And so would, I think Titanic would still be in there.
Titanic would be the other
Like
one. Yeah. So he would be
that's
responsible for four of the
insane.
like top 10. Yeah, that's nuts.
That's I mean,
Yeah.
I wonder, like, that's if I was a journalist, that's all I'd ask him. I would just be like, so did you ever think, like, when you were making fucking like Piranha 2, where you're like,
When
don't
you
worry,
did the
one day I'm gonna
Abyss,
go 4 for 4 billion
when you did
dollars.
the Abyss, did you think from this point on billions?
Billions. You made True Lies, it did okay. You made The Abyss, it did okay. A lot of people don't talk about when they talk about your movies. They talk about Terminator, Terminator 2, and Aliens. And did you walk out of The Abyss's response and be like, I'm gonna make sure
I got this.
that you
This will
never,
never happen. You
because
won't
that's how it
fucking mention my
feels.
name ever again and think I'm not $1 billion.
All right. I think that is our show, folks. As always, you can follow us on Hollywood ADI on Twitter and TikTok. Terrence has the YouTube channel Hollywood Already Did It with trailer reactions and TV show reviews. I'm at, as always, Blake, and he is at Terrence Tatum, and we will see everybody next time.
Later.